All right, howdy everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello, how's it going? Welcome back. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining the fella here for another one, another live one, as a matter of fact. So hello to everybody on the Who Tubes and on the Bumble for New West Reset Live, episode 111. 111.
Today is my 111th birthday.
So thank you very much for joining me here. We're going to be looking at the tall tale of Yale. No, not that Yale. Yale, British Columbia, up here in Canada land, of course. All kinds of hijinks going on with that. So, yeah, welcome. Links below, as per usual, down in the box below there, to everything we're going to cover, as well as, guys, deets, as the kids say. I doubt they even say that. I don't know. The social media links and, email, BitChute, my New West Reset location map over on the Goggle machine. PayPal, if you want to contribute to the Maple Dip Donut Fund. Delicious. Much appreciated. And, of course, as mentioned, links to Bumble, because we're live simultaneously on the HooTubes and the Bumble. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly. Really appreciate it. On this Sunday, March the 30th already. Wow, 2025. Just 5 minutes past 5. Just a wee past 5 p.m. local time. That's Mountain Time, of course. And as always, on Sunday, we're coming at you live from Calgary, Alberta, up here in Canada land, up in Canadadia. Coming at you from southwestern Alberta, Purdy, Alberta. Kind of purdy out there. -1 Celsius. It's about 30 Fahrenheit-ish. Everything's covered in a blanket of snow. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Snow. Got snow yesterday. It snowed all day. All the live-long day yesterday. Got a few inches. I don't know what it was, 7 centimeters. Like 3-4 inches of snow, 7-8 centimeters, something like that. I don't know. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't like it at all. You don't believe me? Fine, I'll show you. I'll show you right now. This was taken yesterday at 9 a.m. as Buddy was just taking a walk, to work. That's my street, 11th Avenue Southwest, here in Calgary. Great. Yeah. So how's your spring? How's your spring going, eh? How's your spring going for you there, eh, buddy? Anyway, so yeah, as mentioned, we're going to look at the tall tale of Yale, British Columbia. It's wacky. Links below for everything, as mentioned, in the in the box. Speaking of box, not that box, but this box, the chat. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Thanks for shooting in, by the way, and winding down your weekend here on this Sunday fun day. Appreciate it. Woo! If you haven't already, maybe give a guy one of these or one of these. It's fine. I'm not going to sob in my pillow tonight. it just kind of helps to push me out into the thing. Thanks to everybody who's already shared and subscribed. And if you're watching this after the fact, appreciate your support as well. Enough jibber jabbering. Let's see howdy. Hippie Shake in the box. Good to see you, Hippie. How you doing? Hello, hello. PCS World is here. There's our friend Kathy. Kathy Broaden in the box. Hello, ciao. Look at you. Ciao. Ciao, bella. Come stai, eh? Buonasera. You getting all Italian on us over here now? Is that what's happening? You get ready to look at some pictures of Stack It a Brick, huh? Stack It a Brick. Carmichael's in the box. Hello. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Cousin Vinny over here. Cousin Vinny. There you go. There's your Italian theme for you right there. So now you know what I'm talking about with the whole New West Reset thing. No. What? No. What I said about Frankie Fingers. The Frankie Fingers and New West Reset are the same. Wait, what? Cousin Vinny and Frankie Fingers. Title's here, everybody. Hello, Title. Hey, Title's here. You making the snowman? Yeah, I know it's almost April. Well, Turtle's here, though. Good to see you, Title. Channel 53, hello. Hello, Channel 53. Hello, hello. How you doing? Torque Train in the box. Eric's here as well. Lost and Found History Rewritten. Hello, hello. Chassis Nix. How you doing, Chassis? Good to see you. Hello, hello. What's happening? Martin's here, everybody. Hello. Good to see everybody. Thanks for the support. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Baja. Baja is here. It's a soft H. Baja. But no habla español. I can barely handle English, for crying out loud. For crying out loud. Anyway, so how's your spring going there? You got any snow? I know Cousin Vinny can attest to that. He lives here in Calgary too. So yeah, that was nice. It's great. What are we, a week into the official spring? Right? Corey Ash sneaking in. Hello. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Yeah, so that was great. That's fun. Anyways, as mentioned, links below. We're going to look at the Wikipedia. What actually kicked this whole thing off was, again, YouTube is just throwing stuff at me. But this is because I was doing research for my documentary that I'm going to be putting up summer here coming up. Seems like it's got so long to go because, of the snow outside. But summer's coming quick. So if this is new to you, working on a documentary for my theory as to the most recent reset here in this area, sort of southwestern Canada land and what they call the inland northwest and the sort of northwest coast, the Pacific Northwest coast of the United States, basically to Northern California. What happened? And so I guess because I was doing research and watching documentaries and looking at stuff on the YouTubes, start throwing stuff at me, and it threw something at me, and I watched it, and I was like, wait, this sounds like the most cockamamie thing ever. And that's this Yale, BC. So yeah, we're going to have a look at that. But speaking of the documentary, I put together another teaser for you. This is the second teaser. About a month ago now, I released the first teaser, which was just a few seconds, like 10, 15 seconds. This one, a guy decided to stretch it out a bit for you. So it's not a trailer. It's just a teaser, just to give you a little taste. Cousin V, why are you teasing us so much, man? What's up with that? Yeah, it is kind of me. I'm trying to get the people, like Will Ferrell says in that figure skating movie. What was it called? Blades of Glory or something? He's talking about the only song that he's going to come out to is Lady Lumps. The guy says it doesn't even make sense. Nobody knows what it means. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Nobody knows what it means, but it gets the people going. I'm going with that philosophy. It gets the people going. It gets the crowd hype. I'm trying to be my own hype man, Cousin Vinny. My own hype man, you see. What am I going to do? Get Flava Flav out here hyping it for me? Yeah, boy. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Even though he was one of the best hype men in the biz. Right, Scott? Scott Pike in the box. Hello. Anyway, enough blabbing about it. Let me just at least, if I'm going to talk about it, I might as well at least show it to you. So this is a Reset 1700. This is the official teaser number 2 for you. Here we go. Buckle up now. All right, so there you go. There it is. Just to give you a little taste. Just a little taste. Sorry about that, boss. That kind of freaked me out. Volume too high. Torque Train says, sounds like the mad winds over Lake Ontario. Yeah. Although, supposedly we're coming into spring. So it shouldn't be too cold of a wind for you there, eh, bud? Thank you, Hippie. Thank you. Yeah. It's so yeah, keep your ocular sphericals tuned into the channel here. Hit all the buttons that aren't gonna work and not give you any notifications, but we'll do what we can, right? And of course, I'll release an official trailer or two as we get closer and closer to the release date. Reset 1700. So once again, thanks for joining me here, Frankie. New West Reset and New West Reset Live episode 111.
Today is my 111th birthday.
Thanks once again here for joining me. Appreciate it. We're going to be looking at this tall tale of Yale, but not the highfalutin Yale over there. No, this supposed mining town / railroad town / maybe somebody saw Bigfoot there once. Sasquatch. They're in British Columbia. So I guess without jabbering about it, let's get into this thing. I think what I'll do is I'll show you what kicked the whole thing off. This just randomly YouTube recommended. Came up in my feed. And I was like, huh, okay, I'll watch this. The crazy sound you're hearing in the background, by the way, is the railroad, the train going by. It's whipping down the track. The diesel humming. Anyway, let me just get it to the point here. I'm not going to share the whole video with you because it's 25 minutes long. It's from an episode of some show called Gold Trails and Ghost Towns. And they featured this little town of Yale. And we'll get more into Yale here in a second. I know it sounds like I live next to a drag strip right now, but those aren't funny cars going down a quarter mile. No, it's a diesel locomotive whipping by. Anyway. All right. I think I got her queued up pretty good here. So again, this is, I'm just going to share a YouTube video that was recommended. It's the theme of the whole show, eh? This is Colin M. He put this up 9 years ago. I think this was from a broadcast way earlier than 9 years ago, but it's not really that important. Just kind of have a look-see here and let me know in the box if you can hear the sound okay. And yeah, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Indeed.
We have done things now from the Silvery Spokane to Dawson, but where are we going today? Where are we going to look at today?
One of my favorite areas, Mike, although it's been in the decline for the last, I would think, at least 80 years, and it's an old town called Yale, once the metropolis of the Fraser River. And Yale, of course, was one of the earliest of the gold towns in the Fraser River Rush. This was in 1858. And it was the head of navigation, so the sternwheelers came up to Yale, and because of that, Yale became a bustling boom town and lasted that way right through the 1850s, right into the 1860s, went into a period of decline, and then when the railroad started to build through the canyon, the Canadian Pacific came back into the spotlight for a few brief years and then declined again.
But it's the story of those prospectors going to the Caribou Gold Fields that sets this story up.
Basically.
Okay, come back in just a second, and we'll talk about the town of Yale on the Fraser River and tell some great stories. We'll be back in just a second.
All right. So I'm just going to pause it there, and I'm going to actually jump ahead because they get into some stuff that, I don't know, isn't really worth chewing on. If you get what a fellow's coming, a lot of this, that, the other thing. They do mention a couple of cockamamie things that made me perk up, and that's kind of what I dug a little deeper into with some of these other links down in the description that we'll get into. But that kind of, as the guy there said, it sets it up. And that's the whole narrative there is it's, this mining town that's sprung up supposedly from nearby gold mining claims. And it was a spot right along the Fraser River where people could land with their boats, their canoes, or whatever that they were getting into this area with and stake their claims nearby. You see what I'm saying? Hello. How's it going there, bud? Good to see you. So, yeah, let me just jump ahead because they get into a lot of, it was this and that. And, they show a lot of, the old-timey gold panning equipment and some of the, they share a bunch of photos. But I actually pulled a bunch of photos, so I don't want to spoil it too much with photographs. So I'm just going to skip it ahead to where they wrap it up because there's a few interesting tidbits there as well. That first clip was only about a minute. The quick little intro to set up the narrative of this place. And I think this is about a minute as well. And then we'll have a look at some of the other stuff a little more in depth.
Welcome back to Gold Trails and Ghost Towns. Mike Roberts with Bill Barley. So this town of Yale started in the 1850s.
Well, it started before that. It started as a fort before that, but the actual town.
Okay, so it started as a fort. So at the beginning, they said it was started from the gold mining. And maybe just the host, I don't know, chalk it up to he didn't realize there was a fort there first, and now he's corrected in this later segment. But there was no mention of a fort at all at the beginning. But now it's like, well, okay, it was a mining town, but the town was after the fort. There was a fort already. There was already a fort there, you see. And then they discovered gold. And then a mining town sprung up around the fort. So, I mean, I don't know.
Town started in 1858. That's right, Mike.
And it, like all the others, reached its heyday and then petered out. What are we talking about for its heyday?
Okay, you're talking from 1858 probably to 1864, 60, 65 perhaps, just after the caribou hit its height and then started declining. And it probably lasted to a degree to about 1869 or 70.
Now, when he says the caribou, a caribou is basically a reindeer. You know, it's like a deer, obviously, sort of. And the caribou is the Caribou Trail and the sort of the caribou mining district is what he's talking about, where he says, from this point, it would either go up the Fraser or would go up the Caribou. The Fraser being a river that eventually empties into the Pacific Ocean. So it was easy to get from the Pacific coast up the Fraser by rear paddle boat as far as Yale here. And then you could go off from beyond that. And that's why it became such a significant jumping off point, apparently, for the mining and then later the railroad. Again, no mention of the fort except for that quick little aside at the top of this segment.
By 1870, it was definitely in the doldrums. And by 1880s, this shot is taken in the 1880s, shows a fire that swept along Front Street. And this was when the railroad construction was back in here. But Yale never really recovered from this blow.
Yeah, you heard him. In the 1880s, there was a terrible, devastating fire that stopped that was basically the nail in the coffin of the explosive boom that was supposedly going on just prior to that event here in Yale, British Columbia. Again, it was, it was a major point of entry into gold mining country. Eventually, the railroad came right through here because it followed the Fraser River. And they realized that, the passage being made easier by following the river, which a lot of the railroads did that, especially through mountain passes, supposedly. At least that's what they tell us. But again, the paddle boats and the steamboats, right? The steam ships could go up and down, or the the paddle ships, that is, could go up and down the river here. So they could transport the gold, they could transport goods, they could do whatever, right? By the way, dig that big, huge building right there in the center of the screen in the background behind all the fellas just standing around with their hands on their hips. Big, huge, what looks like stone building of some sort with those look like big columns here. I tried to find this photo, by the way, and I found one from a slightly different angle that you can't see this building as well. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing things. But yeah, fire. That's right. That's right, Vinny. Yeah, they had a great fire. Right along Front Street. Right along here. That destroyed, what was it, a third of the town or something. Right at the tail end of its heyday. And coinkadinkly, right when the choo-choo was coming through town too. So who knows?
It might have just fallen into decline, but this certainly speeded that decline.
This hastened it considerably.
Did it destroy everything?
It destroyed most of Front Street. You can see the odd building standing in the background. That's a brick building, but most of Front Street was gone.
Front Street would have been where you see right next to the river, just on there. That's where Front Street is.
Just
right
up
there.
above Sternwheeler Landing. That's right. You can see it, and they're starting to rebuild a little bit, but most of that Front Street in this photograph, 1880s again, is gone. So Yale is virtually finished.
And
So by the late 1850s, early 1860s, the gold miners, the prospectors, the Yukon gold rush fellas are making their way up into this area for Lord knows what reason. And they're panning and mining for gold, supposedly. And this town develops because it's easy access along the river there, as you can see. And this river, again, meets the Pacific Ocean. It drains into the Pacific. Right where Vancouver Island is. Off the west coast of Canada land. Just north of Washington State there. But, whoa, actually there was a fort there first. You see, there was a fort, then a town, then a fire, and then the town died. Now, what I think it was there was a fort and a town, and they burned the fort down. They destroyed the fort. And then they tried to change the narrative on the fort. Again, the link for the full video is down in the description. I don't want to get into the whole thing. But supposedly there's a discrepancy between how the fort actually looked and the way it was depicted in two different pieces of artwork at the time that were commissioned. One was commissioned by the minister of the colonies in British Columbia at the time. And the other was commissioned by somebody from, I believe, the Hudson's Bay, or might have been the Northwest Fur Trading Company. One is an etching and one is an oil painting. Not an oil painting. One is an etching and one is a pen and ink sketch that was later watercolored painted. So I guess technically 3 versions. And you can clearly see the fort. We'll have a look at 2 out of those 3, by the way. You can clearly see the fort in the background. And the guy who's hosting this show, the guest, denim shirt comb over guy, the expert guy, this fella here, this guy here, claims that the fort didn't actually look the way it was looked in these commissioned artworks. And but he doesn't bring any artwork or depictions of his own to back up his claim. So yeah, I think that's what it was, is they purposely destroyed the fort. They couldn't explain why this was in the middle of the British Columbia mountains, which prior to the gold rush was pretty tough to get to. And again, it took the railroad years to get through the Canadian Rocky Mountains and the Canadian Cascade Mountain Range. Basically to unite the country with the railroad, just like in the US, right? Same thing. It was tough going through different parts of the country when they were supposedly building the railroad from scratch, so they say. So I think somebody at some point stumbled upon this pre-existing town, or small city, I guess you could say. And rather than try to explain it away, they destroyed the fort. And then later on, whoops, there's a fire. The Great Fire of Yale. I don't know. Now, that's just conjecture on my part, but that host is legit goldfish history nerd. Gold Rush. Yes, yeah, Gold Rush. Gotcha. Well, I mean, and You do got to talk to the old timers, though. That is the thing, for sure. Was it Star Fort? Well, it's not a star-shaped fort, but it is what appears to be a walled fort that's a stone or masonry of some sort wall, not like a fur trading outpost fort where it's just made of wooden logs stood up and attached together, 12 feet tall or so. And they call that a fort. And it's got, some lookout towers. In the etching, as well as in the pen and ink / watercolor, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll get into it. But yeah, this fella here is basically saying, yeah, no, it doesn't look like that, though. Yeah, but 2 separate artists, 2 separate times, 2 separate mediums of art, one being an etching and one being a drawing, depicted it the same way, and he just brings nothing to the table. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I think, yeah, it was the other way around. It wasn't, fort, town, fire. I think it was fort and town, and then fire, and then they rebuilt some of the town, and whoopsie doopsie, the fort got destroyed. Sorry. Again, one of those cases where a masonry building of some sort is destroyed in some great fire. Whether it's a brick building, a stone building, be it limestone or sandstone or whatever. So that was the video that YouTube threw at me, and I thought, shenanigans. It's basically what I thought. It's the first thing that popped into my head.
Shenanigans.
Let's look what Wikipedia says, shall we? Love the Wikipedia. Why? Because it's so cockamamie, and this is what people go with. They read it and they go, yeah, okay. Yeah, I believe that. That makes total sense. So Yale, British Columbia, just make sure we're looking at the right Yale here. It's an unincorporated town in the Canadian province of British Columbia, which grew in importance during the Fraser Canyon Gold Rush. Located on the Fraser River, it's generally considered to be on the dividing line between the British Columbia coast with Vancouver City there and the interior regions. That looks like Kelowna, maybe, of the British Columbia mainland. Immediate north of the town, the Fraser Canyon begins, and the river is generally considered unnavigable past this point. So say this is as far as you get. Yale. Rough water is common in the Fraser anywhere upstream from Chilliwack and even more so above Hope, which are about 20 miles south of Yale. However, steamers could make it to Yale, good pilots and water conditions permitting. And the town had a busy dockside life as well as a variety of bars, restaurants, hotels, saloons, and various services. So not only did they have bars, they had bars and saloons. So that's pretty good. Maximum population during the gold rush era was in the 15,000 range. But more generally, it housed between 5,000 and 8,000. The higher figure was counted at the time of evacuation of the canyon during the Fraser Canyon War of 1858. Skirmishes with indigenous First Nations people, by the way. Most of today's population are members of the self-governing Yale First Nation. Non-native businesses have included a couple of stores, restaurants, and a few motels and other services, as well as a gas station, automotive repair, and rescue outfits. The town's only gas station closed in 2021 or 22. We're not sure. This is where you come for accurate information, by the way, people. This is the Wikipedia. We're not sure. Somewhere 2021 or 2022. That's quite a window of time. You can't narrow it down for me a bit? No? Okay. Anyway. And the general store closed in December 2023. Well, that at least they got pinpoint. The Yale area is the lowest main destination for the Fraser River rafting expedition companies. Yeah, okay. Waterfront campgrounds, okay. All Hollows is now a campground and hostel. Not much of the gold era Yale survives, as the docks vanished long ago. The railway was built in the 1880s down the main street of what had been the waterfront town. The Yale Museum is located on Old Front Street, adjacent to the tracks. Next to it's the Anglican Church of St. John the Divine, among the oldest in British Columbia. One of the oldest churches in British Columbia is in this one nugget town, Yale, British Columbia. Here it is, by the way, people. Here's British Columbia. Here's Alberta. Here, Calgary's right about here. Right about here. Yale's right there. Vancouver's over here. So every summer, a historical reenactment group visits Yale to celebrate the Royal Engineers who had served under Richard Clement Moody during McGowan's War. They also worked on the Caribou Wagon Road, later improved as the Trans-Canada Highway, and the Douglas Lillooet Trail. Okay, so the town was founded in 1848 by the Hudson's Bay Company, the Hudson's Bay Fur Trading Company, as Fort Yale by Ovid Allard, a guy who worked for the Hudson's Bay. He was a go-between guy. The fur trappers and traders would bring the furs into him, and he would give them the credit or the tokens or the money for the furs, but he was free to evaluate the condition and quality and pay whatever he chose. And then he would then in turn sell that to the Hudson's Bay Company. Appointed manager of the New Post, who named it after his superior, James Murray Yale. Guy named it after his boss. What a brown-nose and suck-up, eh? Then chief factor of the Columbia District, that's the fur trading guy. In its heyday, at the peak of the Fraser, it was reputed to be it was reputed to be the largest city west of Chicago and north of San Francisco. What? It also earned epithets such as the wickedest little settlement in British Columbia. Always, right? The gold mining towns are always wicked. Well, maybe it's all the saloons and bars. And a veritable Sodom and Gomorrah. Nice. Great. Of vice, violence, and lawlessness. Yale played an important role in certain events in the Gold Rush period, which threatened British control in the region with annexation by the United States and tried to make it 51st state even back in. Before there even were 50 states. The Fraser Canyon War and McGowan's War, the governor came to Yale during the first crisis in government. Okay, there was a bunch of skirmishes between Indigenous peoples, Canadians, Americans, opposing factions of different fur trading companies, all kinds of stuff going on. As Yale was handy for travel to and from New Westminster and Gastown, which would later be Vancouver, on the Burrard Inlet, which is the mainland of British Columbia. It became the headquarters and residence of the American railway contractor Andrew Onderdonk. Andrew Onderdonk. There he is there. He supervised the construction. The town boomed with population and new businesses because of railway spending and employment. Yale and nearby Emery City in the vicinity of Hills Bar, where the gold rush had begun, as well as the major Fraser Canyon towns of Ashcroft, thronged with temporary residences and businesses of various kinds and legitimacy. 3 times a day, rail service to Vancouver from Yale for some reason. Incredible. It made Yale a popular excursion run for some reason. Construction ended, however, the population dropped dramatically in Yale by 1890 and continued to decline afterwards. Daily return service remained in effect until WW1, when Onderdonk moved on in 1886. He donated his estate for a girls' school, All Hallows. It was ranked as one of the main society schools in the colony and continued to operate for decades until the 1920s. Yeah, we'll look into All Hallows School as well. Construction of the railway destroyed parts of the Caribou Wagon Road, which was severed between Yale and Boston Bay. They destroyed it! Anyway, and between Lytton and Spence's Bridge, a new highway north, yada, yada, okay. So then in the 20s and then through the 50s and then in the 80s, they had the highway and it's all connected up and brand new and you can zip right through there now. And then that was the final nail in the coffin for this town of Yale that was once the biggest city west of Chicago and north of San Francisco. But of course, there was also a den of vice and depravity and lawlessness and all that stuff. What a shame. What's going on with this place? Anyways, I found website here that has to do with the railway. There's some decent photos because really that was, once the railway came in there, you'd think, okay, it's a major stop along the way. You think it would work in tandem with the paddle boats coming up and down river. But nope, I guess that Great Fire just did it in. I guess. I don't know. It's very, very weird. But anyways, this is digital collections for BC Heritage. Anyway, links below. Gold Rush town of Yale. These are photos of the Canadian Pacific Railroad. 1871, British Columbia became part of Canada. In result, the Canadian government promised to build a railway to connect the Atlantic coast with the Pacific coast of the country. During the period of railway construction in the 1880s, Yale became the main supply center for all the work in the Cascade Division of BC. That's the Cascade Range of mountains that are west of the Rockies, but east of the Pacific Ocean. During the period of railway construction, I read that part already, sorry. Some 7,000 were employed. A machine shop, sawmills, and other industries were also created. After railway construction was complete, boat traffic to Yale ceased, and Yale began to decline. But they're putting the railway in to increase business and increase the population and attract more people. You can get there quicker and more efficiently now. This is the opposite of the narrative we usually get. Usually we get, once the railroad comes into your town, the population explodes. That's what they say about Calgary here in Alberta. That's what they say about Regina, Moose Jaw, like all these prairie towns from the east, basically, from Winnipeg coming westward. But for some reason, this has the opposite of the narrative. It's a nice old steam engine. You'd think the logging would be benefited as well. I mean, they had sawmills there, they said. Oh, a train wreck, eh? It looks like a boiler explosion to me. I don't think that's a train wreck. I think that's mislabeled. That's a boiler explosion. What's going on here now? Not even burning coal in this thing. They're just burning wood because there's just trees everywhere. So what's the sense, I guess? Might as well just skip burning coal altogether. This is Onderdonk's engine houses at the Yale CP rail yards, I guess, or the train station. Huh. Very, very interesting. So yeah, link below for that as well. Got a couple more to look at here, and then I'll take a mid-show break and give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek vintage footage video. Oh yeah, I found this interesting. Yeah, I mentioned Bigfoot. That's right. You think this place would just be bustling? They talked about it being a boom town. I don't know how the railroad killed it. I guess it was that Great Fire. You know how many times have we heard that narrative? It's the only thing that would explain the railroad coming in and the town not exploding in population, but rather it explodes in flames. Wonder if it has something to do with the railroad. This is that whole Bigfoot or Sasquatch narrative. This is the Jacko hoax. Again, Wikipedia, link below. The Jacko hoax was a Canadian newspaper story about a gorilla supposedly caught near Yale, British Columbia in 1884. What are the odds? The story, titled "What Is It? A Strange Creature Captured Above Yale, a British Columbia Gorilla," appeared in the British Columbia newspaper The Daily Colonist on, look at that, America Day, Independence Day, July 4th, 1884. The original newspaper article describes, quote, Jocko, unquote, as a gorilla and not a Sasquatch. So they went out of their way to say, no, it's not a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. Nothing to see here. It's just a gorilla. I would think that finding a gorilla in the British Columbia forest would be stranger than finding it. Like if they said, we found a Bigfoot, there it is, got captured it, here's it's in a cage, here's photos. I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's crazy, but okay. But if they said, we got a gorilla out here, I'd be like, what in the Sam Steele is a gorilla doing out in the Canadian wilderness? What's going on around here? Like, it's just me. It's just strange that they go out of the way to say it's not a Sasquatch. Anyways, the Jackal story has been used by Bigfoot advocates, all them crazy conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat wearing, as evidence for the existence of Sasquatch. Many books about Bigfoot and cryptids have featured the event and cite the original newspaper article. In 2008, Michael Cremo discussed the story as possible proof for the existence of Sasquatch. The Jocko story was featured on the A&E television documentary series Ancient Mysteries about Bigfoot, season 4, episode 18, narrated by Mr. Spock himself, Leonard Nimoy. That's highly illogical, Captain. The story was also mentioned on the Bigfoot episode of the television series In Search Of, season 1, episode 5, also narrated by Leonard Nimoy. Nimoy's a Sasquatch fanatic. He's a Bigfoot fan, I'm thinking. Yeah, Yeti, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. You know, Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not a Bigfoot. It's a gorilla. It's not a giant or a griffin. It's a dinosaur. Them there dinosaur bones will tell you everything you need to know. Can I see the dinosaur bones? No, they're locked up in our archives, but you can see these plaster, quote unquote, casts of the dinosaur bones on display here at the museum. Anyways, the Jocko story was also mentioned in a 1976 documentary called The Mysterious Monsters. Oh, that sounds interesting. Loch Ness, of course, Nessie and all them, right? The Mount Rushmore of cryptids. Lauren Coleman. Sorry, person Coleman. Explained in 2003 how the story achieved its popularity. During the 1950s, a news reporter named Bruce McElvey found the article about Jocko. McElvey shared the Jocko account with Sasquatch researchers John Green and René Dahinden. McElvey told them that this was the only record of the event due to a fire that had destroyed other area newspapers at the time. Well, of course, it's the great Yale fire of what was it, 1880? No, because the story took place after that. So they had another fire, I guess. Anyway, the story's appearance in Ivan T. Sanderson's 1961 Abominable Snowman legend come to life propelled the Jocko story into history. She continued that John Green continued digging and finally found two important articles that threw skeptical light on the whole affair. Green wrote off the Jocko story as part of a probable journalistic fiction in Pursuit in 1975. But by then, the story had taken on a life of its own. Combating this with writer Joe Nickel, cited the Mainland Guardian's dismissal of the case below as a hoax. On July 9th, 1884, the Mainland Guardian newspaper, New Westminster, stated that no such animal was caught and how the colonists were duped in such a manner and by such a story is strange. On July 11th, 1884, the newspaper British Columbian reported that about 200 people went to view Jocko at the jail where he was supposedly kept. The people, found only a man at the jail who fielded questions about a creature that did not exist. Anthropologist and Bigfoot enthusiast Grover Krantz suggests that Jocko was purchased by P.T. Barnum and exhibited as Jojo the dog-faced boy. Okay. Photos of Jojo between 1884 and 1885 indicate Jojo was replaced. However, Bigfoot researcher Chad Arment claims that Jojo was not Jocko, as Jojo could speak many languages and could write his name, according to an article, New York Times of October 13th, 1884. So we're supposed to believe one newspaper, but not the other. And it was actually just the dog-faced boy from P.T. Barnum, but no, it wasn't. So anyways, maybe there was a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot or an abominable snowman, a Yeti, if you will, at some point there in Yale, British Columbia. So what do you figure on that? Huh? Wiley Metz is here. Howdy, neighbor. Wiley Metz from Montana. Not too far away from also south of where a fella is here, and it's also gold mining and gold panning country down there. Got them there, Bigfoot sightings and all that down there. I wonder what they would call Jocko down in Montana. Anyways, I think I have a couple of other websites right quick, fast, in a hurry here that I stumbled upon before going live that I haven't put in the description below as of yet. But I did find something else that was interesting. This was from that same website, the digital archives for the British Columbia. This is a stone firewall. Like many pioneer towns, Yale had its share of major fires, plural. There you go, Cousin Vinny. They had more than one fire. Sometimes the first one doesn't take. People don't learn, and they still keep building out of wood, apparently, instead of following the town or county ordinance or whatever to say, well, sheesh, that was a close one. We almost lost the whole dang town. We best build out of brick and stone from now on. But then later on, somehow those also burned down. So I don't know. But anyways, fire could easily get out of hand in towns mostly built of wood, with little precautions taken in the placement of buildings to prevent the spread of fire. In July 1881, there we go. It was 1881, not 1880, excuse me. A drunk caused the burning of a third of the town. Just some drunk. Again, why do you have all them bars, taverns, and saloons then, if this is going to turn out to be a problem? You've already called the town of Sodom and Gomorrah because of all the shenanigans going on there. And now drunks are burning your dang town down. The original Shilson House may have been destroyed when a fire ravaged the whole town block. I guess this is a different fire, because now they're saying may have been destroyed when a fire, not the fire. The Oppenheimer's store's brick vaults were the only thing left standing after one fire. So now that's, I'm guessing, a third fire? This place maybe has had 3 fires. What are they trying to get rid of here? They're trying to get rid of Fort Yale, or what they called Fort Yale. And they had to have a couple of fires to destroy this old fort. This is my contention. But don't forget here, you heard it here first, the store's brick vaults were the only thing left standing after the fire. So brick will be left standing after a fire. Just keep that in mind whenever you see photographs of the fire, the Great Fire of San Francisco after the earthquake, or any of the other great fire photos in Canada land or the US or anywhere else in the realm for that matter. But anyways, this photograph, it says here, was taken after the burning of the entire block. Of which fire, though? Of the entire block 1, I guess. There's that building again that looks like it has 2 big, I know it's hard to see and I can't blow this up, I don't think, can I? Let me try. It's probably not going to let me. No, it doesn't like that at all. But there's that building again. It looks like it has 2 big arches, or 3, or a few pillars here, 4 pillars, and some windows above it. And it's a big building. So this is that front street, supposedly. The river's right here. Like the photo was taken from the other side of the Fraser River. The river's basically right here. Anyways, fire became a concern when 2 fires broke out in 2 months. 2 fires in 2 months, people. 2 fires in 2 months. And I think 3 overall.
I don't believe you.
So, I mean, you tell me and we'll both know. After a second fire 2 months later, a stone firewall was built at right angles to the river to basically break the town into 2 halves. So they created fire breaks by building stone walls, or a stone wall, a stone firewall. Again, remember that to prevent the fire from destroying the town again, or what's left of the town, or the newly rebuilt town, I guess, they built stone firewalls. I guess not being aware that, whoop, look out now, stone can burn, apparently. Just like brick can burn, apparently. Now, I'm not talking about a 5,000 degree brick, fire and a brick melting. No, I'm talking about a brick building burning down in a regular fire. Anyways, after a second fire 2 months later, a stone was built, right, to basically break the town into 2 halves. It was paid for with money raised by firefighters for new equipment, to which many Yale residents contributed. Remnants of this wall are still visible today. I don't think so.
Oh, shit!
I think those walls that they're saying they built as fire breaks are what was remaining that they couldn't completely get rid of when they were destroying the fort. It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. It's just, I don't know. It's just too good to be true. Old World Mi'kmaq in the box. Kwe Nida. Kwe. Good to see you. PCS World says, to my understanding, brick will explode if you get it hot enough, but there ain't no campfire going to do that. Exactly. A house fire, or even your town burning down. They're saying by their own narrative here, wooden buildings. A wooden building is not going to burn hot enough to even melt brick. Never mind have the brick get hot enough to pop or explode. I've seen rocks crack in a campfire, but you got to get a pretty rip-roaring campfire going, and it's got to be pretty well ventilated. And then a river rock or something like that, it will, over time, heating, contracting, will eventually crack and split. But yeah, the building catching on fire is not going to cause brick or rocks to do that. So yeah, I think that they're trying to explain away the stone wall as, it was a firewall that they built because they had so many fires. They even had 2 in 2 months, you see. So that's why that's there. No, it couldn't be that there was a fort that appears in early pre-photograph artwork. And as soon as photography comes along, and the gold miners start poking around up in there, and the Hudson's Bay Fur Trading Company, muscles its way in there. All of a sudden now the fort didn't look like that. It was just a wooden trading post for the fur trading industry. And later on, it was, destroyed in one of our 3 fires. Jeez. I'm just, I don't know. I'm at a loss.
I think I can smell shite. Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
Anyway, that is just my humble opinion. So if you're just joining me, Frankie here, New West Reset Live. Hello, how's it going? Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one, another live stream, New West Reset Live, episode 111 here today.
Today is my 111th birthday.
Thanks for winding down your weekend here. We're going to take a mid-show break. What do you think? When we come back, going to have a look at some old photomographs a guy dug up on Yale, British Columbia. Dig a little deeper into some of the stuff. And you'll see what I'm talking about with the old fort. You'll see what I'm talking about with that old school as well that they made mention of in one of the articles. And again, links below for not only the articles, but my New West Reset location map designed by Cousin Vinny. He put that whole thing together. That's his brainchild. So thank you to Cousin Vinny for that. You just click on that link and it opens up the goggle machine. My icon appears. And when you click on that, it opens a portal to boots on the ground videos everywhere in Alberta that I've done a boots on the ground video. Links below as well for BitChute, my social media over on MeWe. Buddy's email too. Hey, if you want to send me some old photographs or I don't know, you want to send me jokes. Hey, Kathy Broughton, want to send some jokes? Whatever the case may be, show ideas. I try to keep her Canadian there though, Bot? But you know. And of course, link for Bumble. So welcome once again to everybody on the HooTubes and the Bumble. You know, that greeting fighting platform over there that you're not allowed to mention because HooTubes doesn't like it. I hate playing these verbal gymnastics, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so this was a journey to like some of the last of the Canadian frontier here, the Canadian British Columbia interior, where the interior meets the coast in terms of districts. Coal mining shenanigans in the town of Yale. Not the fancy Yale, but apparently this was pretty fancy with a bunch of hotels, bars and saloons. One of the oldest churches in British Columbia. It had a railroad depot. It had a paddle boat depot. At one time, 15,000 people lived in this place that they said was the largest city west of Chicago and north of San Francisco. I think they're just saying that because everybody's heard of Chicago and San Francisco, even in the 1850s and 70s and in the 80s and whatnot. Very clever. PCS World on the box says if Yale was an acronym, it would be yet another lie. Everyone. Yes. Indeed. I don't know. I just find it comical and just so many distractions. Look over there. There was a fire. How many fires? 2. No, 3. Wait, what? No, Bigfoot. Bigfoot over there. No, it was just a gorilla. Look out for the gold miners now and you know, paddle boats and whatnot. It's like so much going on to distract the guy. It's crazy. And you know what? Before we take a mid-show break, I'm going to open up the goggle machine and I'm going to go to Goggle Maps. And I'm going to show you what Yale looks like right now. Toot sweet. Toot sweet. Yale, British Columbia. Let's just close that side panel. Yeah, give you the old... So here's the Fraser River. Beautiful part of the country here in British Columbia, as you can see. Let me zoom out. Let you show where we're at here. There's Vancouver Island. The city of Victoria right here. There's the border. It's got to go around here because, you know, God bless you. The Americans had to get some of this in all those wars we had with each other. There's the city of Vancouver. There's Yale. So you can see the other towns they were talking about. Chilliwack here. It's now a city. And Hope. So yeah, the Fraser River just flows right down here, right into the ocean. So yeah, Yale is just right here. And it's just on a bar. There's a number of places called Bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. So on and whatnot and so forth. This is Yale. Just a few hundred people. Just right here. There's the railroad. And that's it. That is it. That's all that's left of what was a fort and a town. This may have been the old railroad depot right here, I'm thinking. It's now become a campground. But yeah, exactly, hippie shake. The box says it looks like a little village. Exactly. It's a hamlet now, basically, a little town. But you're right, it is beautiful. Right there in the Rocky Mountains. But yeah, Kathy says if you blink, you miss it. Yeah. A lot to do about nothing. Exactly, Scott. Exactly. And I don't even think it lets you drop the little yellow fella. No, you can drop on the highway because it's the Trans-Canada Highway. It's the #1 highway that runs east to west, coast to coast, basically. So the highway whips through here, although you got to slow down to, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 kilometers per hour through here, 30 mile per hour, 35. But yeah, you can't even take the man to have a look around here. Nice Humvee, though. They do have a historic site. It's like a little village, a recreation of a little mining village, but it's pretty pitiful. I saw some pictures online. It's a couple of log cabins and a couple of these sort of miners' tents and like a little visitor center. And you just drive around this big weaving road through this large, I would say probably 10 acres. And there's like 2 or 3 cabins there, and that's it. But yeah, this is it. This is what you got. Nothing, man. A whole lot of nothing. This was the biggest city west of Chicago. north of San Francisco in the 1870s and 80s. That's what you get. Nothing. Bubkiss. Absolute bubkiss. What?
I wet my jockeys here.
That's exactly right. Wiley Metz says Canada is pro-trans way ahead of everyone. Yeah, that's right. Going back to the 1950s, baby. Go back to the railroad. How could it ever have been big? There's no room for it to exactly. It's the other thing. 15,000 people, multiple hotels, multiple saloons and bars. We know it had a church. We know it had a railroad station with a number of buildings, because in that one photo there or whatever, it showed the railroad buildings, the Oppenheimer or whatever. Not Oppenheimer, but the whatever his name was. I know. I totally get you. Totally get you. Anyway, where we at here? Coming up on an hour and a quarter. Yeah, good time to take a mid-show break. So as per usual, or if you are new here to the channel, every Wednesday I upload vintage footage video, old-timey video footage, and I try to keep it, again, Canadian if I can. If the old footage, 1880s, 90s, up to the 20s, sometimes up into the 1950s. I don't care, as long as it looks cool. I've just bumped you. Sorry. All right. You okay, people? It's not an earthquake. I just accidentally bumped you there. There you go. You all right? Anyways, the older the better. Put it to some Canadian music. Put it up every Wednesday. Of course, I give you a sneak peek here on the Sunday live show, and every Friday you get some boots on the ground here on the channel, bud. So, buddy's just going everywhere trying to do it here for you. Speaking of which, put your ear goggles on. Smoke them if you got them. Turn it up to 11. Turn it up to 111.
Today is my 111th birthday.
This is actually from the 1950s. This is some crazy truck driving footage. So we've got 1950s trucking, 4.5 minutes long. Put your headphones on, your ear cans, whatever the case may be. And we'll see you on the other side of 4.5. All right, everyone? Cheers.
band. You'll never understand that all they know is the yellow line. Yeah. And the joke is when you woke his body was covered in coke tears. And the joke is when you woke his body was covered in coke. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Joke is when you woke his body was covered in coke. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Joke is when you woke his body was covered in coke. Yes.
All right, and we are back. Hi, everyone. Frankie here. New West Reset. New West Reset Live. Episode 111. Thank you very much. Shooting in, joining a fella here for another live one. The Tall Tales of Yale, but not the fancy Yale. The drunken, debaucherous Yale of Canada's British Columbia. Anyway, thank you for joining me. What'd you think of that, by the way? Huh? Cousin Vinny says, driving on twisty BC highways. Yeah, British Columbia, speaking of which, yeah, it could be terrifying. So few opportunities to pass. People start taking chances. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeedy. Howdy, Morgan. Morgan is here. Isabella Live 2.0. Good to see you. Yeah, a few perfect examples right there. Yeah, exactly. Curtis in the box. Good to see you. Howdy. He says, back when you could crash a car and not delete yourself. Yeah, exactly. Not get all deleted on, because the cars were made out of American and Canadian steel. Made in American factories in Michigan, in Detroit, Michigan, and Pontiac, Michigan, in Flint, Michigan. all the Michigans, Detroit, Michigan. And of course, Windsor, Ontario. Yeah. So once again, thanks for joining me here. If you haven't already, got one of these. Thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly on this Sunday fun day. About 20 past 6 here, local time. That's mountain time up in Canada land. Coming at you as always live from Calgary, Alberta, southern Alberta, Purdy, Alberta. Snow. Yep. Snowed pretty much all day yesterday. It was crap. Still here. The snow is still here. Because it's like 30 Fahrenheit minus 1 or -2 Celsius. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining me. The top half of the show, we looked into the, as per usual, the shenanigans of the official story, some of the tall tales of Yale, Bigfoot, and all kinds of stuff. You're like, wait, what? Did you just say Bigfoot? Did you just say that, Frankie? Yes, Bigfoot. Anyway, amongst other crazy things. But I did pull up a few pictures. Before I get into that, let me give you another little sneak peek at the teaser for my upcoming documentary, Reset 1700. It's going to be coming out this summer here on the channel. This is just the second of 2 little teasers that I've put together for you. Just to get the hype going a little bit. there you go. Teaser number 2 for the upcoming Reset 1700. A little documentary putting together just on my theory of the most recent reset out here in the Canadian Southwest and the American Pacific Northwest. So, yep, keep your peepers peeled onto the channel for that. Hit all the buttons below that down here that won't, they won't give you the notification, but I guess it couldn't hurt to try. I don't know. What's going on here? Cousin Vinny says, maybe break up some of that text. Okay. TLDR, huh? Gotcha. Trim it down a bit, clean up a little bit. Hippie Shake says, whoa, dramatic. Must have been scary. Yes. Rare. Too much out of the bag. Baja says, hell yeah. Thank you. Too much out of the bag. It destroyed small cities, towns, and villages from Northern California all the way up to, west coast of British Columbia and on Vancouver Island. So, yeah. And, let's just say it kicked off a bunch of other bad stuff that lasted a really, really long time and messed stuff up. So yeah, that will be coming up this summer. I will put it, as Kathy's mentioned in the box here in the chat. I'll put it up as a premiere so we can all watch together live. And then I'll probably bust it up into a 3-parter and then re-upload it. Something like that. Anyway, what do you say we look at some old-timey photos and I quit jammering and all that? What do you think? So we're going to look at what I was able to pull up from the interwebs here from looking at Yale. So this is kind of interesting, and this is some kind of plan. I don't know, Yale, British Columbia. Scale 200 feet to 1 inch. Received from a survey. Okay, so survey map, which appears to have been made in 1858 before the arrival of the Royal Engineers in British Columbia. Oh, yes, they built a bridge. Yeah, that's right, the Royal Engineers built a bridge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, there's a 4. That's how you do a Roman numeral 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it jumps to 12, and then 17. So we're missing a few. This is the Indigenous First Nations Reserve, supposedly. Interesting that I think the fort was supposed to be somewhere along here. Or over here, maybe. I don't know. We'll have a look. See what this says up here. Another plan will be submitted for this by and by. In the meantime, I send this as it may interest you. Alrighty, whatever that means. British Columbia number 11. Looks like it's been altered. Something's going on here that's been altered. So, I don't know. Tell me what you think. I have no idea. Ah, here we go. A nice plaque. We love a good plaque, don't we? Because you know it's true. If it's dink, 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 dink into a plaque somewhere mounted on some wooden post, plunged into the ground. Historic Yale This was the head of navigation on the Fraser River, founded in 1848 as a Hudson's Bay Company fur post. Fort Yale later became a roaring gold rush town, and for 20 years was the starting point of the famous Caribou Wagon Road. Yale faded with the gold rush, but boomed again in CPR construction, Canadian Pacific Railroad construction days, as a wide open Western town. Wide open Western town, meaning the law wasn't here yet. Even though there was a Hudson's Bay fur outpost here, the Northwest Mounted Police weren't out here. So no Sam Steele. No Sam Steele. Channel 53 says, I'm surprised they would give up that much waterfront. Yeah, there's the river there. Here's the front street. High water mark. Cutting her pretty close right here, Bod, with that high water mark. Why would you build your street? Why would you plan to build your street or survey a street here if this is your high water mark? It's going to be constantly washing out this street and potentially this whole corner. Why are you doing that, dum-dums? Oh, I get it, because this is probably older than you're telling us. Some of this was already here. And you're trying to explain it away with a fudged survey certificate. But meanwhile, this road probably used to go further along, and this was the result of some kind of cataclysm. Just saying. Hudson's Bay, Fort Yale. Oh, here we go. The North American West Coast fur trade began in the late 1700s and continued into the gold rush era of the 1850s and beyond. The Hudson's Bay Company was desperate to open up fur trade routes between BC's coast and the interior after their southern trade routes were lost to the United States following the Oregon Treaty of 1846. Ah, you dirty Yanks, you stole some of the land out from under us and called it Oregon. The Oregon Territory, which later got split into Washington and Oregon states. Anyway, 1847, Fort Langley chief trader James Murray Yale sent Ovid Allard and a group of men to build a house and store at the foot of the falls. Ovid named the site Fort Yale in honor of the boss that sent him there, because he's a brown-noser. Fort Yale became part of the annual transportation route for furs collected throughout the interior and sent by pack horses and boats to Fort Langley. Fort to Fort, I guess, sure. Volume of furs traded in the 1840s and 50s was staggering. One horse pack train leaving Fort Kamloops for Yale set out in 1848 with 400 horses and 50 men. Horses carried 2 90-pound packs each. It's a lot, man. The route, deemed too treacherous after numerous pack animals died, was used only 3 times before being abandoned in favor of the Fort Hope route. After gold was traded to the HBC by First Nations, the trading post in Yale was rebuilt and for many years did good business. The native population brought furs, salmon, and other trade items to the Yale post and exchanged them for textiles, tools, and luxury materials such as tobacco. So again, I think what happened is the fur traders and the gold panners, the gold miners, stumble upon this pre-existing place that was damaged during the cataclysm. They find that fort. They destroy the fort. Some of it remains as the fire break stone wall that you can still see remnants of today. And even here it says they rebuilt the fort. It was a fur trading fort. So they rebuilt the trading post fort. Yeah, after the fire. So that's why I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. That's why there's two different opinions about what the fort looked like. Because the original fort, which was what we would call a fort, not a star-shaped fort per se, but a fort, they destroyed it, and then they built their crappy wooden trading post style fort. Anyway. What else we got here? Strong box. Dug up on the riverbank in front of the lot occupied by Oppenheimer Brothers. So it is Oppenheimer. The Oppenheimer Brothers store. The Oppenheimers established the first store in Yale in 1858. Apparently, the fire, which destroyed the town in 1872, damaged the lock, as it appears that a blacksmith chiseled off the hinges. Okay. 1858 to 1990, remains of the safe destroyed when fire consumed the premises of Pioneer Gold Rush provisioner and builder Oppenheimer Brothers and Company. These brothers, David, Isaac, and Godfrey, and Charles, moved the company to Vancouver during the early 1880s. It exists there today, British Columbia's oldest company. So the strong box. I thought they said it was a brick. The after the fire, the brick strong box from the store survived. This brick. More than one fire, more than one strong box that survived, I guess. Reward. Yale Centennial Committee offers $500 for the capture of a live Sasquatch or Fraser River mermaid. That's right. Take your pick. 3 great fires in this little town that supposedly had 15,000 people in it. One of the oldest churches in British Columbia. 2 of those fires, by the way, were 2 fires in 2 months. They had a fort or 2. Also famous for Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but now a mermaid, apparently. Sorry, it's too pickulated to read here. This is the best you can get of it. You can find it online, though. What became of BC's first Sasquatch? They described Port Jacko as being half man, half beast. There have been thousands of sightings of BC's legendary man-beast, the Sasquatch, over the years. So another article going back to referencing that first article of Jocko, the gorilla in the Canadian forest. It's not Bigfoot. That's crazy. No. It's perfectly sane explanation is that it's a wayward gorilla. Wait, aren't gorillas from Africa? Yes, they are. But this one somehow is in the British Columbia forest. It's definitely not a Bigfoot. Anyway, here's a lovely postcard. Scenery of British Columbia, Canada, the Fraser Canyon near Yale. Now, I'm poking fun at the narrative and trying to poke holes in this, but that's not to take away from, as was mentioned many times in the chat, in the box, a beautiful part of the country. I mentioned it myself. And no wonder they took a postcard. Look, you got your bridge here, wooden bridge for your automobile. You got it timed. This guy's parked to wave at the train as it's coming out of this here tunnel. Click, take a photo. Makes a beautiful postcard because there's your Fraser River, the mountains, the trees. So yes, admittedly, it is picture postcard lovely. I will admit. Vaughn's in the box. Good to see you, Vaughn. How's it going, eh? Jocolata podcast. Fraser River at Yale, British Columbia. So this is what they want you to picture. And this is basically what we saw of Yale. The Trans-Canada Highway basically goes by over here. But there's just not much of Yale. But apparently at one time, 15,000. But this is what the narrative they're pushing. They'll even put it on a postcard. And again, it's beautiful. But come on, man. 15,000 people in this transportation destination and gold mining hub. Not to mention all the other stuff that's coming through here. Coal mining, logging, silver mining. So this is that All Hallows Girls' School. Yale, British Columbia. Look at the size of this thing. A complex, multiple buildings. Just out here in the rugged mountains. Well, there's all the penguins. Terrific. It's a bit much, isn't it? Apparently, this is on land that was donated by that fella after he passed. Again, lovely buildings, though. Huge for this tiny little town that supposedly exploded in population. Again, nice enough to put on a postcard. 2 postcards, as a matter of fact. All Hallows School, Yale, British Columbia. It's a post date on this, November 2nd. Not sure the year, but essentially, I think the same. Probably taken from the same photo. But yeah, very nice. Well, maybe not so nice. Turns out it was a residential school. It's not just a girls' school. It was a girls' residential school. So they were converting Indigenous First Nations little girls to become, civilized, quote unquote. Poor sad faces of some of the Indigenous children, because if this is a residential school, then these children aren't allowed to be with their families. They're not allowed to speak their Indigenous native language. They're not allowed to sing their songs and play their traditional games. So not so picture postcard perfect after all, unfortunately. All right, so here's the discrepancy with the fort. So this is Fort Yale, and it's supposed to be a fur trading outpost. Now you can see here it's more than likely the crappy wooden logs stood up. It's a fur trading outpost style fort. Supposedly, the Hudson's Bay Fur Trading Company built dozens, if not more, of these all through Canada in, the 100 years that they had a monopoly with their charter for the fur trading. And, the years afterwards. But then there's this where it looks more like a stone walled fort, much taller, with these towers that have domes on them, and and again, apologies, gets a little pickleated, but this what looks like maybe some tech sticking out of the top of them here. And this just looks like this is just an expeditionary force, and they've basically just found this thing, and they've set up camp, and like a week later, they've got their official, commissioned sketch artist to come in here and sketch this, and say, yeah, this is Fort Yale. But I think what happened is this fort was destroyed, and as we heard in a couple of articles, they rebuilt the fort, and I think they rebuilt this. And those stone wall fire breaks are actually the remnants of this original fort. Again, that's just conjecture. Just my opinion. But this is what they want you to believe. Yeah, no, they just came in here and they're, sluicing and panning and mining for gold. Just out here in the rugged wilderness. Pay no attention to this two-story building back here. No, it's fine. Then, of course, the railroad comes through. Yeah, it'll just blast right through here. No problem. As we build our railroad in through the wild west of Canada land. You know, and then the paddle boats come in, right? And there you go. There's your little town that just suddenly they, I guess it's a chicken and egg. There was a fort, then a town, or a town and a fort. But then they discover gold, and then this place just explodes to 15,000. This photo was taken in 1865. So they've already found gold. They've got, looks like they've got, this is, what year is this? This is 1885 also, I believe. I've already got what looks like electric here. I don't think those are telegraph, because it looks like they have insulators on them. Could be mistaken. This is supposedly 1880. A couple of big, huge buildings back here. Yeah, you'd expect to see this, 1880. Out here in the mountains. Right along the river? Yeah, I'd expect to see wooden buildings like this, sure. Maybe even some of these. Yeah, I get it. Dragon Sage. How's it going there, bud? Dragon Sage in the box. Good to see you, bud. Here's the thumbnail. Just so you know, when your train's rolling in, where you are, I guess. It's probably is that the station? No. It's the main street. So apparently when the railroad came in, they just built, we're just going to build it right down the middle of your street there, buddy. It's definitely electric. I don't know. I think there was something weird going on with Yale. I think a lot of these early photos, they're purposely taking pictures where they're not pulling back far enough. I think the fort is kind of over in this, behind in this area, sort of behind left of the photographer. You know what I'm saying? Like, think it's out of frame over here on purpose. Or at this point, they've already destroyed it, maybe. Oh, there you go. A couple of rough and tumble. I don't know if these would be gold miners or fur traders. They're indigenous peoples. This guy is for sure. This lady. I think they all are. So there it is, built in 1857. This says the oldest church in British Columbia, but in that article it said one of the oldest. Again, this I could buy this, that it's a wooden church. Looks like it might have a stone foundation here. Kind of hard to tell, but 1857. It's a pretty rough area around here too, weather-wise. They get a lot of snow in the winter, and it's that wet, heavy, moist snow. Still stands today. Still got the bell in it too. Did it have the bell in the old photo? Looks like maybe, yeah. Here's a shot of that pioneer gold miners village little thing that they have set up there. You said it's pretty weeny, right? It's a couple little buildings, and then these fur trapper or miner tents. A lot of times the lower third is wood, and then it's just the canvas canopy. But either way, yeah, it's pretty weeny. This is what the Royal Engineers built, by the way. This is a pretty cool bridge. Sure what's going on there, but to go over this portion of the Fraser River, I believe, or is it the Yale River? You have to forgive me. Now, this is a terrible photo, but this is of the fire. Supposedly, this is a photo of the Great Yale Fire. Which one, you might be asking? I don't know. They had 2 or 3. But again, what's catching my eye is this right here. These 2, what you look like really tall, arched doorways, and then look like arched windows above it. Again, pardon the quality. I don't know. Almost looks like there's a road here. Some kind of weird step thing going on here. And here. It looks like there's a road here. And a road up here because there's buildings built on top of it. But it looks like there's something down here. Again, terrible photograph, but this is what I've got. This is supposedly a photo of the fire. Again, photo of the fire. Dates on that. 1880. All right. 1880, 1881, whatever. Maybe it was the one of 2 in 2 months. Maybe it was December 1880 and January 1881 that they had their fires. I don't know. But I think this is that big building. Again, not quite as good an angle as you see, I think, from that, at least I think, from the video, the YouTube video. It might be the identical photo, but it seems to me you could see it better in their video. But you can see the road is up here at the same level as the roof. Roof. So it looks like something happened here. I don't know. I'm speculating. Tell me what you think. It's such a tiny photo that it's just tough to tell. But I would encourage you, if you want to poke around a little bit more into the whole narrative of this thing, to check out the links below. As I mentioned, I did find a couple of other links, so I'll put those. I'll include those down in the description once this, the live is over and on whatnots. Does look the same. Yeah, I think it's the same photo. It's just that maybe theirs is just a better quality. I looked for their photo. I even went to the BC archives and tried looking at it, and nothing. Yeah, it's weird, right? The Oppenheimer, and then they had so many fires and the destruction, and apparently the fort had to be rebuilt. At least 2 fires, 2 in 2 months. But with that one article, it did sound like they had 3 fires. They were talking about 3 separate events that occurred, 3 separate fires, I think. So, I don't know. Now I think that was that the old railroad bridge? It may have been. Let's go back to the goggle machine again, to the maps again for a sec here. Just go back to Yale again, because we should be able to see that, I think. Although it doesn't, again, it won't, it's not going to let me drop the guy down. But the bridge is, where is that bridge? Get out of there. I don't even, where's that bloody bridge? There's Bridge Street. There's literally nothing here, man. You can see some old road that toll road. I don't know. There's the tunnel. It's a town called Choate. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here. There's a town. Maybe is it down here? No, I don't even see. Follow the tracks. Because I thought it was a rail bridge. Maybe it went over the isn't there a Yale Creek? Where the hell is that too? This is knocking me out, man. Yeah, I don't know where that bridge is, people. I thought it was built across the Fraser or one of the other tributaries. Is that what they're called? Whoa. Is this it? Nope, that's just a regular bridge. It's not it. I know it's supposed to be around here. I just didn't think it was this far. There's a lodge way out here. That's giving me Deliverance vibes. No, I'm not staying at that lodge. There's First Nation Reserve here. Still no bridge. Yeah, I don't know. Is this it? Is this it? No, can't be that far away. Whoops. Can't be that far away. Can it? It's crazy. No, just a shitty bridge. What? All right, I don't know where that other bridge is. Maybe it's been destroyed since. Yeah, I don't know what the hell the deal is, but anyway, that's that. Yeah, it is pretty desolate out there. Pretty desolate. Vaughn says, T-shirts arrived, by the way, Frankie. Thank you, brother. Can't believe how fast stuff gets here from Canada. Yeah, I'm actually pretty, well, I sent it air because it was actually better price for some reason. I think because of the size of the package. It's easier for them to chuck it in an airmail bag, right? Rather than it being a large cardboard box, perhaps. But yeah, there you go. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Hippie Shake says, yes, my T-shirt arrived from Frankie. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Yes, T-shirts were sent. A couple of more folks should be getting T-shirts. You know what? Send me a photo of you in the t-shirt. I won't have to put your face. I can like blur your face or crop the photo. Send me a photo of you wearing the t-shirt. I'll put it up in the channel. If you like. You know, just email a guy, link below, and Buddy will put it up there. Yeah, rusty cables and pitted concrete. Yeah, I'm not. It's bugging me now what the deal is with that bridge, because I know it has to do something to do with Yale and the railroad. I just can't figure out exactly where it is now. I'm still kind of looking around. But yeah, I ain't seen it. I don't know. Because they still use the train, like the rail line through there. The train still chugs through there. So I don't know if it's an old rail bridge that goes, that's been decommissioned, that goes over the river. I don't know. But be that as it may. Now I'm all distracted about that bridge. It wasn't super fancy. It was just something that I thought was kind of interesting. Baja says New West Reset Speedo. No, that would be terrible. Sherry wants boxer shorts. New West Reset boxer shorts, eh? Wow. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. And by the way, everybody's talking about t-shirts and stuff in the box there in the chat. Those are people that were just kind enough to send a, PayPal donation to the channel. And as a thank you, as a gift, I had a bunch of t-shirts made. I've actually had 2 different kinds of t-shirt, 2 different batches with 2 different designs made up. So just as a thank you for, supporting me here at the channel. I mean, the guy's got a job and stuff, so everything just goes back into the channel anyways for updated equipment or, I don't know, even stuff like buying a bus ticket up to Edmonton last summer, buying a new gimbal, just to try to bring more content, better content, smoother flowing content instead of the old shaky cam, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, just as a thank you very much for your support. If you're comfortable sharing your address with me behind the scenes, I'll keep it private, of course. Guy's not here to dox anybody there now, just then I can just mail you out a t-shirt if you make a donation. The Phoenix in the box. Hello. Good to see you. So yeah, that's what everybody's talking about. Spasm, awesome town, says Dragon Sage. Hell's Gate, BC. Really? Vinny says Spasm used to be a BC joke. There were t-shirts bragging about visiting there. And then Dragon Sage says, my dad had one. There you go. There it is. Canadian shenanigans right there. So where are we at? Well, just past 2 hours already. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess there, eh? I think I'm getting ready to wind this thing down shortly. Gonna get my supper going here after this. So is it supper or dinner? Let me know in the box, in the chat. Do you call it supper or dinner? Because I don't even know the difference. I grew up calling it supper. Come in, Frankie. Frankie. It's time to come in for supper. Come have your supper. Wash up before supper. But now I kind of say dinner or supper interchangeably. Sometimes they say supper and people look at me funny, so then I'll kind of pause for a second and then give them the old, dinner. Kathy says dinner. Channel 53 says supper is before dinner, 4-ish. Wait a second, hold on. What are you, a hobbit? So you have breakfast, then brunch, then tea, then supper, then dinner? Wow. It's a lot. Vaughn just says tucka. It's just tucka. It's just tucker there, mate. That's what we call it down under here. Crikey. Crikey. That's what we call it down under. Tucker. We don't care when we eat it and what we're eating. What time of day it is, mate. We just call it tucker. Sorry. I don't care what it's called. I'm there, says Sage. Like a Sunday dinner supper. So if it's a larger, more formal meal that you would perhaps start at an earlier time because it might have more courses, right? You might have a 5 or 7 course meal rather than just piling everything onto one plate, right? Your chicken, your vegetable, maybe some potatoes, and then, I don't know, maybe some corn on the cob and some biscuits on the side or something. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe some dinner rolls, right? But a supper is, it's like a whole affair. It takes longer. So you started earlier. I don't know. Both. Turtle says, you know what? Both. Supper, dinner. I don't care. Whatever it is, just it's time to eat. It's time to eat. Suppose, okay. That's it. 100%. And often a slow cooked meal. Well, to sup, right? To sup is to dine or eat. But I guess dinner is, to dine is dinner. I think it's the same thing. I don't know. Yeah, first and second. Yeah, first and second breakfast, first and second dinners, right? Because you gotta have breakfast, then second breakfast, then 11sies, then high tea, then brunch, then lunch, then afternoon tea, then supper, then dinner, and you might have yourself a midnight snack before you hit the sack. Matt Fiddler's here. Came in late. Hello from watching from the beginning of North Carolina. Well, thank you very much for shooting in from the NC. Yeah, of course, always please go back to the beginning and watch. Because, who knows what other kind of jackassery has been going on here. I just read the narrative and I just ask, really? 3 fires? At least 2 in 2 months? And I'm just kind of asking. But sometimes even asking, people try to make you eat shit sandwiches just for asking questions, right?
Let me ask you something. How come you asking so many jackassy questions?
North Carolina in the house tonight. Hello. Maybe it's to dine in, not out. Yeah, see, I don't even know. I didn't even look it up in the dictionary, which I do have a printed paper copy of, an actual dictionary. But obviously it's different but similar. It's same but different, but same. And to me, to sup, you're like dinner, like supper. Supper is more of like a slower, more of a multi-coursed meal, whereas dinner can be, but it's more of just pile everything on your plate and give her, bud. I don't know. Anyway, before I go here, let's see what's kind of goofy stuff's been shared here. Kathy shared some stuff. Love when Kathy sends me some stuff because she's got that wacky, hang on here, wacky sense of humor. What did Kathy send here? Oh, yeah, by the way, did I show you spring? This is spring, by the way, here. This was yesterday. It's 9 a.m. yesterday, me walking to work. It's hard to tell, but the snow is actually falling, currently falling as I'm filming this. Great. Yeah, so that's nice. Anyways, let's see. Yuck. Let's see what Kathy sent us here. Well, yeah, we were earlier, right? We had the Sloan music with the trucking in the 1950s with the dangerous driving. So I guess let's go with the theme on that here. I'm going to talk about some dangerous vehicles.
They're from Sao Paulo. It's inspired by the movie Tron. And just look how magnificent this is. Marcio on one side, Dennis on the other, over the first obstacle, and it's...
This is like the Red Bull something or other. I don't know what. These guys are nuts.
working to this point. Whether it stays joined up remains to be seen. They're okay through the chicane. There's the bone rattler, just a little touch on the way down. Now the water... Oh, the water feature!
Oh, it's always the water feature. Ouch. Ouch. It's always the water feature. I mean, you got to be creative. I mean, nobody's going to do that, right? You can't, like, why would somebody do that? Those are just a couple of guys. That's got to be a one-off thing.
We won't lose these guys, will we? With slightly bigger wheels.
No, it's not a one-off thing at all. This is a whole big thing.
At the back than we see at the front. And already maybe one or two signs it's not that easy to control. He's very high, the driver, and he just went up onto two wheels there. Over Dutch mountains. Oh, the head's gone. Oh, he's gone. He's completely gone. Nobody can steer. Oh, he's into the crowd.
That looks very, very dangerous. Like highly, highly dangerous. That's some daredevilry. Going back to last week's show. Yeah, we're the smartest creatures in the world. That's right. That's right. Yeah, wipe out. Yeah, wipe out. All right. I can't do that high-pitched laugh that they do in that song, Wipe Out. They did get hammered. It was definitely a sight to see. Turtle's got the right idea. Nope. Turtle, you want to... Hey, Turtle, you want to try this? No. Get away from me with that nonsense. I don't want to try that at all. It's, just having a good time. Well, they're hopped up on Red Bull is the thing, right? So they're just all wound up tighter than a cheap watch. I'm all jacked up on Red Bull. Let me try this crazy contraption. Let me try this crazy contraption. Anyway, thank you very much, Kathy. Appreciate those as always. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, my video. Yeah, I know. That's right. It's looks like winter. Yeah. Well, it was, you know what, a couple of days prior to that, it had been like plus 12-ish Celsius, mid to high 50s Fahrenheit. And then the wind just shifted and ba-boom, old man winter came back and said, I ain't leaving yet. I ain't done with you. Like Ving Rhames in Pulp Fiction. I ain't done with you by a damn sight. I'm going to get medieval on your ass. You know what I mean? Sorry, kid. Sorry. Sheesh. Anyway, that's going to about do it. That is going to seal the deal. Here tonight for Frankie, New West Reset and New West Reset Live. Episode number 111. Here today on the show.
Today is my 111th birthday.
Thank you very much once again for joining me. I appreciate it as always. If you haven't already, do all the things that help a guy out. I will be putting the teaser for Reset 1700 up on the channel in a couple of days. I'll also link to the previous teaser as well. Maybe I'll do some tweakage on teaser number 2. So don't forget, it's coming Wednesday, vintage footage, Friday, boots on the ground, and we shall see you next week for the live show. So until the next one, take care out there, everyone, and have yourselves a good one. All right? Thanks a lot. Take care. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.